in healthcare. It's great to see babies with the things on all this data, but at the end of it, it's got to be services that support this. So this is the sort of business I'm in. Well, I'm going to take you through the area. So my business is a service that should be called a doctor. Anyone who's at the inaugural Wednesday, Wearable Wednesday in Dublin would know about that. But I'm going to take you through the sort of journey I've been through and let us think, I think, a little bit about how youngsters today are going to think about things. So my first memory was of telecoms in healthcare. So I'm in a hospital. It's a sick children's hospital, one of the best in the world. And the doctor made a noise. He made a noise because he had big deep pockets and there was coins in it. And he would jingle as he walked along. And I didn't know why he jingled until, so I just thought doctors made this noise. Then I saw this doctor put his hand in the pocket, pull out coins and refer them to my mother. First time I saw my mother getting handed money by somebody, I didn't know what it was for. So I then saw my mum take that money, go to the payphone, which was in the main lobby of the hospital. And in that lobby, she put these coins in. And you talk to people at home, anywhere. And I was amazed by this. I thought, wow, you've got the most powerful thing in the whole hospital. You've got it out in the lobby where everyone's smoking and stuff like that. It should be right by the bedside, shouldn't it? Surely, you know. So my whole idea was healthcare and telecoms. You know, they need to just be baked together. So, you know, to me it was obvious. You could phone the Mayo Clinic on that phone. You could put 10p in and it just linked you up with billions of pounds worth of infrastructure. Now he's digging roads all over Oklahoma. So it was just phenomenal. Why weren't we thinking more about it? By the time I got to medical school at UCL in London, I was the only person with a mobile phone. And you can tell it's quite early because on the mobile phone it actually told you it was a cellular telephone. So when you pick that with the handset up to get a better connection to the microphone to hear the speaker, it actually said cellular telephone because people would ask me, what is that? And they thought I'd literally taken a radio telephone from home and just brought it with me for the day. And this was the price of a second-hand car. So I was walking around with something really valuable and people couldn't understand why I had it. The reason I had it is my brother was a surgeon and I told him he could make more money when he was out of court. Instead of having a pager and running the payphones, he could use one of these. And he could see no social reason to have it. So unless he was working, I had to have it charged up for him. I had the phone. So I had early exposure to the phone. And then in 2006, I launched this service. It lets you video call a doctor for a cost of £35 per consult. But let's just think for a minute about how the born mobile generation, so the youngsters growing up today, imagine how what they're going to think when they see the patient experience we provide in healthcare. So you're going to see these waiting rooms full of all these random people, all these random complaints, going and see random doctors who've got not a clue what they're coming in the door with. And they're just going to sit there thinking, you know, this doesn't make sense. So, anyone seen this video? 2 people. Great, I'm going to play it. I think this is a great video because it shows... no, we won't bother. Right, it shows these kids, they're given a Walkman, and they're told, what is this? And they get the Walkman, and they haven't got batteries in it, there's no cassette in it, and they start saying, it's a boombox, isn't it? It's really good, you play your mobile phone music through it. And no, it's not a boombox. And so they talk them through it, and they say, so what are you thinking it is? And they come through these ideas, and then they explain, they say it's got a cassette, and then they show them earbuds, and then lead going to it. And these kids are just perplexed. And they start saying, all right, how do you rewind it, fast forward it? They show them how to play things in it. And they've only ever played CD players. So fast forward, you know, skip to the next track. They can't work out that you randomly just pick a point and play it. And this really shows you that, you know, the stuff that we, I guess, all know about, these type of things, just are completely foreign to youngsters growing up. Can you imagine what them kids are going to do when you hand them a glucometer for their type 1 diabetes? They're just going to sit there going, okay. And I go in, endocrinologist, and watch this happening every day. And I see these kids going, this guy is off his, you know, I don't know what he's doing. I play Minecraft and my dad knows my scores or whatever. If this was so important, they're telling these kids, this data that's getting off here, you can collapse and have to go to hospital when you're at school. So you need to actually texting it from your mobile phone, the number that comes on that screen, and it's really important. And what happens if it's high number? Oh, then I tell the nurse and all trouble will happen. And what happens if I forget to do it? Oh, I'll kill you when you get home. How will you know? Oh, I'll know because... So the kid reads the manual and goes, no, Mum won't know. I won't bother testing. And so kids are sitting around at school doing this really weird, antiquated way of interacting with healthcare. We've got these massive costs that are coming up because these kids are poorly managing healthcare, losing their sight, being amputated, having long-term health conditions develop as a result of their trouble using these devices. And the amazing thing is, this generation is sitting there going, you know, it's coming into an encounter where they grew up with Facebook and YouTube. They can tell you, looking at their email, where they were on the 22nd of September 2009. But they are supposed to go into a doctor consult or a nurse consult and just forget like half the stuff the person told them. Yeah, they can tell you what they had for dinner, the pictures they took, they can go through their Flickr, you know. So you're sitting there going, what are they going to make of this environment where we go in, where it's completely undocumented? We just go in to the doctor, you're supposed to remember all them complicated new words. It's just not going to make sense to these kids. Why are they going to engage with something which is undocumented and inaccessible? Monday to Friday, 9 to 7, 9 to 5, you know? How's that going to work on these kids' heads when everything else is always on, always continuous, always in their pocket? You know, unless the battery goes, they can work it. And the amazing thing today is, a lot of people you hear talk about empowered patients, patients who are trying to do things for themselves, getting involved in Facebook communities about their disease area, who are understanding their disease sometimes much, much better than the doctors that they see for advice. And the phenomenal thing is, at the moment, what this empowered patient means is you're on your own, buddy. That's what it means, because the doctors can't work with you, you just sort of go off and do it. Where I think Wearables is going to come in is it's going to make that a memory. It's going to make everyone an empowered patient, but the empowered patient is going to be someone who, quite literally, has got the care around him, and it's working for him. It's not him on his own, trying to make sense of it. I also think they're going to laugh at this. They're going to laugh at the way we had doctors looking at the screen. What the hell were they looking at the screen for? It's going to be your response in 5 years' time. Because you'll think, they knew what was on the screen. They've had a medical education to understand all them terms. It's me that needs the screen. So I think if you look at how these youngsters expect an electronic healthcare record to look, that's what they expect it to look like. Just basic questions to them that they fill in. Not that are mediated or filtered through the doctor, the healthcare professional, in the hope that they're going to. And even smarter. You know, let's think a little bit further out. The project we're working on with technology Nuance that does speech, it's actually letting the history part of our service get done via voice. And there's a therapeutic benefit we're seeing to that. Actually being asked, my right foot hurts, sounds painful. When do you start feeling the pain? And actually just talking that through with a mobile phone can itself be therapeutic. But it also means it can be scaled to levels whereby you can screen for things like Ebola globally, because you don't need healthcare professionals. And the crazy thing is, we're at the moment telling people to go to waiting rooms to solve a contagious disease. So 5 years' time, we're going to sit there going, what was that all about? We all had, 7 billion of us had mobile phones. Why won't we leverage this connectivity? So I think a lot of things are going to be surprising. One of the things that strikes me is this device. It's Firetex smoke alarm. So all these got links on the slideshow. You can see anything you see up here you want to find out a little bit more on. And what you'll see is, why does a smoke alarm not send a message? Why are they not connected? If your smoke alarm goes off, so we were talking about the environment. So how much environmental damage is done by a house burning at home? First of all, you've got to replace all the hardware. Second of all, you've got the whole thing going up in flames in the first place. Why isn't every senior citizen's smoke alarm reported to their local fire service? Who thought of having one of those go dig, dig, dig at a tone that actually is the tone that is the first part of your hearing to deteriorate? Who standardised that rubbish? I look at Nest and we work with a company that have got a technology that makes every smoke alarm a Nest, but just a mobile phone listening for it. They've already made it into the world's most successful alarm clock for deaf people. So if deaf people have a particular problem, they can't hear the smoke alarm when it goes, and so they're a major problem and they independently live it. With this device, it can send messages, but what about your mobile phone? Why isn't it listening for smoke alarms? Because it can hear further than you, and it can hear when you're asleep. So some of this stuff, just to me, I think people are going to be amazed. Where the money is, where we see money being made already, is where companies like Walgreens, who are just mobile first, Same route that Starbucks, you all know, are doing. 10% in the first year went to mobile payments, Starbucks USA. It's their highest priority, working out the mobile channel, working out how to take money via payment via mobile. But Walgreens went really ahead, repeat prescriptions and stuff like that. Last year, over $325 million per month just through their mobile service. And it wasn't all just the app, a lot of it was just repeat prescriptions, SMSs, come and pick your thing up. This is an interesting thing, a little slide that I made up, and I thought that pharma has a big problem perceiving these things, because they're obviously going into you guys in California, and they're just coming out, laden up with sensors, and they're thinking, this is me, I've got the... And so there's a researcher, and he's saying, look, I've just added mobile connectivity to the glucometer. And one guy's survey says something, and the next day he says, I've got reps, and they're developing this illegal cash for strips market. And then this guy's going, no, I've just spent billions of pounds trying to get the FDA to regulate a mobile phone. There are massive challenges in healthcare, otherwise most of this stuff would have been thought through and done already. There are huge barriers to it happening. Sometimes, if you have this roadmap for these wearables, these stick-on plastics that are going to monitor whatever metabolite you want to measure, sometimes you just start with the most basic thing. You just add connectivity, like a Kindle, to certain things. And this is the product that I'm working with. A company called Telcare developed this. It's a mobile phone with a glucose meter baby. This device has got the mobile phone inside it. It's quite hard to do because you're doing really tight scientific measurement. But what this device does is, when a patient uses it, instead of giving you a number, it tells you what to do. So honestly, diabetics, I don't know if anyone know any diabetics, any hands up? Good, only one person in, 2 people, 3 people. So they're seeing a number on a screen. It means nothing. What this device is doing is coming back with some personalised feedback to you right now. Not when your doctor's going to reply to it or read it. It's saying things like, have a half a cookie, bring a sugar up, go for a walk, do these things. So it turns it from data into actionable insights that you can do right now. It's an incredible device because it's now rolled out into, so I'm going to tell you about some of the rollouts, because I think the way it's transforming diabetes, we're going to see this chronic disease model follow every other chronic disease. Driving a car with diabetes, if you get stopped in Europe with diabetes on your driving license, you're an insulin-dependent diabetic. The cop stops you and then says, your records come up, diabetic, can I see your strip? If you haven't got a strip on you, you don't have a reading on you, you get a 12-month ban. I go around GPs educating them about stuff like this, and I say, here's the 36-page document that you agreed to for the European Driving Licence Directive on diabetics. It's completely mad. You can't, not one of your patients is properly driving his car. And the reason why is because as a diabetic patient, you have to test before you drive and every 2 hours of driving. It's actually quite complicated to remember to do all that and everything else that you do. If you're driving all day, 10 hours a day, your fingers are like tissue paper. So the opportunity for these wearables to do something is phenomenal to give people independence in their lives. But the other part is, the biggest customer so far is highway patrol officers in America. So they found a $3,000 saving by just changing his glucometer to this device. All it's got is a Kindle, nothing fancy technology. But what's happening is, this guy's got such a bad lifestyle because he's driving down highways in America with ads for Burger King, Whoppers, he's got coupons every time he buys a coffee to give him a free donut or whatever. But he also can't get out of the car and exercise like a lot of others can because he's got a lot of arms in his car. Obviously he's got a highway patrol car full of shotguns and stuff like that. So he can't get out and even go for a walk. So it's a really horrible shift pattern that's predicting. He's also now being told to ask people for their driving. So we have this old joke in Ireland about the guy gets stopped during driving and they say, would you blow in his bag? And he says to it's Christmas, and he says to the guard officer, only if you'll do it first. And the guard officer said, well, keep going. Because it was unlikely he hadn't had a drink himself. But if you're looking at a highway patrol officer who's stopping you asking for because you're driving an HGV or something, where's your strip? Well, where's yours, buddy? So they were very quick to get it. But there's some examples there. Going to school with diabetes. Big problem in America. Ambulances are driving in and out of schools every day. And the reason why is diabetic kids, before they go to lunch, have to go and show their reading to the school nurse. So this weird little thing's happened. that they've got to go and show this to the nurse, and then they go to lunch with everyone else. So if someone runs out in the playground, like they do every other day, and trips over, bangs their head, the school nurse is pretty occupied, as you can imagine, wailing kids, stitching them up, all of that. The other kids are waiting, all they've got to do is show this number to them. Well, they've turned it around and built an app. And what the app does is it collects all that from all the patients, all the students, all the kids that have got diabetes. And it can be quite a number in some of these big schools in America. So the school nurse sees all this on her iPad, and it tells her who hasn't tested. So you can get kids into the habit of testing early, and then they just do it autopilot. The other thing is, it means they don't have to wait around for lunch. It also means their mum doesn't have to worry that they haven't tested. So the type of communications, if you watch what's happening today, diabetic kid is getting pestered by mum to test. Lying, making up, yeah, I tested, here's my number, making numbers up. What's happening now is that number's going straight to mum. Mum's now got a different communication model. They do things like send him some credit for his phone. You know, you've been good this week, here's some credit for your phone. Keeping your blood sugars right, nice and tight. An elderly parent. So there's a golf pro I know, and he saw this presentation like this, and he said, you know, come up, I've got a mum who's diabetic, but she just doesn't do too much. You're not going to have any luck. But if you can do me a big favour, you know, all your clients can come on the golf course as well. So I thought, I'll prove to this guy I can get this into a really senior person who doesn't like technology at all. So I had to go over, she lives in another country, so flew into that country for a meeting and went to her house. Didn't know anything about this lady, swapping out her device. So she's got a normal glucose that's not connected. Now she's going to have one that every time she tests, he's on the golf course, you can see it on his phone. He doesn't have to ring her up or anything, no pestering. He can just ring her up socially instead of put the numbers and all this random stuff. So I went round, mum come in the door, big thick glasses. I turned up the contrast. You're swapping your glucose for this one. Oh, I love it, give me it. I can see this one very clearly. And it looks like an iPhone, so it's a little bit smarter. And the key innovation there is that the patient just sees the brighter screen. Doesn't have to learn anything new. Doesn't have to, you know, have a Wi-Fi hub in her house or, you know, all these random things. It's also got a you know, battery awareness. So you can go and charge mum's device. The battery lasts 3-4 weeks, so you can actually plan to have it charged for her. So she's not even considering these type of things. And then this little device. So this is a device. Stick it onto the back of your phone. I send you this, put it on the back of your phone, and you get your ECG. You can send it to that. The great thing here is it's transforming cardiac care. It's also got some applications in managing panic attacks. For someone who suffers from panic attacks, this lets you get a rate check and see, and actually relax and see it coming down. And then the biggest problem, the reason why we've got these massive avoidable hospital admissions for people with panic attacks, is it feels really bad if anyone's ever suffered one or seen someone. It's like the worst thing in the world. I'm choking, you know, I'm having a heart attack. It just feels that bad. And so you're like, how can I do something? And a doctor talking to you remotely, like our service, cannot say to you, I can't rule that out, because you just can't. So you say, look, hold on the ECG, let's talk. Right, now give me 5 minutes, breathe in that paper bag, do these things, but, you know, relax, do this. And if you see this keep going down, we're okay, but I'm going to call you back in 5. And that's a different thing from, you know, getting stressed and more stressed about it. And we use this on the world's best thoroughbred horses for dressage and things like this, to get insights into their brains. So we also work in veterinary areas. My last Wearable Wednesday, I talked about some of the stuff with the Google glasses on the jockeys and the dressage riders, just to sort of manage a horse and cardiac rhythms and things like that. So there's a lot more advanced things you can. One of the things we've got to be careful of is we're talking about real services that real patients use. It's great to say babies with some infant death syndrome and how we can eliminate that. But I'm involved in areas like that, and it's very, very challenging, and the risks are just so high. And, you know, the companies that are in that space, some of them are going to do it wrong. Some of these babies are going to get a tumour or whatever. Some of these companies are going to, you know, they're putting radio near kids that are so young and so developing. There's going to be challenges in that. So let's just work in areas where, you know, we've got senior citizens who we can monitor the sleep. We can see when we're mucking up there. We can see when they, you know, the drugs we give them are getting them to get up in the night to go to the toilet. Believe it or not, 70% of hip fractures in the UK and Ireland are from seniors who are getting up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. So people can analyse their gait, put sensors all over the floors. Forget that, just put a little PIR sensor in the house. Doesn't matter how many times it's knocked during the night. If it's knocked, I know I can prescribe them something that stops that happening. It makes 70% of the chance of them having a hip fracture, which is the real precursor to a lot of seniors dying, and just an uncomfortable death. So one of the things I'm doing, big thank you for these guys organising Wearable Wednesday. I think you're doing a fantastic job and really bringing conversations. And this, with the blog, you know, when people are talking about things, blogging about this, a lot of stories, a lot of conversations need to be had for why they're accepting this. One of the things we're doing just before the website, and I want to put an invite out to anyone that's interested in this area, is we're doing a thing where we're showing how you can use data to improve clinical outcomes. We've got a little bus for driving some clients around, as well as people are coming, journalists and stuff. But in the evening, we're having a network, again, open for the first night. It's just for people who've got healthcare interests and, you know, the internet stuff. Some of the doctors and things like that are going, they're looking for partners who've got the internet savvy and stuff like that. So I thought an event like this might be a good opportunity to plug that as well. Have a great night.